Hey, good morning. Shaun's just gone off to get some coffee. This is, after all, Coffee Talk with Shaun and John. We're coming to you live this morning I'm coming from my home studio. Shaun is at the office, as you can see, and we be we are talking today. We started on Tuesday talking about kind of what is it about a company that would attract people to come work for that company. And we talked a lot about culture, and culture kind of overwraps everything else that we're going to talk about, um, except for location, really, quite frankly. But we talked a lot about culture, and so the big thing is the talking point that we're talking about is that if you're a candidate with good, solid, quality qualifications, a good tenure at your current place, your drywall, and you've got on-screen takeoff and quick bid. You're doing projects over $1 million, commercial drywall, metal stud framing, or commercial painting, same type of thing. On-screen takeoff, quick bid, Plan Swift, The Edge. You're a PM estimator, you're bidding, managing, selling projects over $500,000 on the commercial paint side. Look, there's no reason for you to stay at a company where you feel like you're not valued, where you feel like you don't have the right kind of culture, that you're just not a part of. So we're going to talk about, we talked about culture already. You can refer back on Tuesday, go to our YouTube page, and check that out. We're talking about another thing that has to do with culture, but it is compensation. And we're not just talking about your base pay. We're talking about compensation package. Shaun, what is it about compensation that might either keep somebody at the work that they're currently at or attract them to maybe go elsewhere?
Well, that's a loaded question. I mean, I think,
well, we come across it every day, don't we?
Yeah. I mean, money is important. It kind of helps pay the bills and, puts food on the table, puts a roof over your head, right? You know, a lot of the candidates that we place, most of them are never usually just 100% money driven, right? There's always something else going on. But money is a very important part. Compensation is a very important part of that, of them making a change. So what's the question again?
Well, I guess first and foremost, when we talk to a candidate and their number one thing out of their mouth is more money, that's, 9 out of 10 candidates probably say money first. But if you dig a little bit and you find out that money truly is their only motivation, they're probably not a good candidate, because what will happen is that they're gonna leave you for $5 more an hour, or $2 more an hour, or for $5,000 more on their annual pay stub. So,
yep.
When we hear that, we get a little bit nervous. But when we dig down a little bit deeper, compensation is just a part of the package,
right?
And
it
really does have to do with culture, though, right, Shaun? I mean, I talked to a guy the other day. Guy's got 10 years worth of experience, 5 years as an estimator, doing projects up to $5 million in Seattle, Washington, which is a pretty high cost of living state to live in. Now, just off the top of your head, what do you think this guy's getting paid? I mean, he's personally producing over $3 million worth of business for this company.
I don't know, probably 80,000.
How much?
80,000.
Yeah, the guy's making 47,000 right now. He's been working there for 4 years. He's gotten one raise, and it's only was $1,000, one raise over those 4 years. And he's personally producing, selling over $3 million worth of work a year. So that doesn't make any sense to me. Why would you do that? So when we're talking about retaining employees, one important piece of that is respecting them with the compensation package. The other part of that is that this gentleman doesn't even get a matching 401k. He gets a 401k, but it's all his contributions. No matching from the employer, no health insurance plan, no nothing. This sounds to me like a churn and burn company. Now, this company made over 100 million last year. It sounds like the company made $100 million last year, or that was their volume last year. Sounds like the company got $100 million in volume because it was on the backs of these employees that are not getting a fair wage in Seattle. I don't know how a guy could live on $55,000 in Seattle. I got to be honest with you.
No, yeah, he might. Yeah, so I mean, we run across it all the time. I think that's a little extreme. I hope we place that guy somewhere else.
Yeah.
I've got a few companies up there. Um, but yeah, I mean, we run across it all the time. I mean, here's just the fact is that everybody wants to make more money and everybody wants a bonus. And we've talked about this time and time again because it's part of the culture. Um, I think if a company wants to retain their good employees, you don't want to retain the bad ones, right?
Right.
But if you want to retain the good employees, you have to incentivize it. Um, Especially for a good drywall estimator, a good paint estimator, industrial coatings, you have to be able to give them a little carrot if they're doing really good work. We're not saying give somebody something if they don't deserve it. That's not what we're saying.
Right.
But there's also a lot of companies out there that will make false promises, right? So anytime a company wants to hire somebody from us, and they're promising this candidate bonuses and all that, I always encourage that candidate to get that in writing, get it down in writing. Also included in compensation is health insurance. I mean, it seems like most of the clients that we come across, most of the companies have health insurance, but it is kind of interesting. There's a lot of people that, yeah, hey, I'm making 80 grand on a base. I don't get a bonus. And I'm like, wow, man, hey, you're in North Carolina. You're doing really well. Like, that's good money. Oh, but I'm paying $1,000 a month for insurance. My company doesn't have it. So I've got $1,000 a month, and my deductible's 10 grand, right? Or something crazy.
Right.
So all this, that's what we run across a lot is somebody who's making, on the surface level, they're making a good base. But then you kind of dig into it. They have no car allowance. They have no health insurance. They have no 401k. All of a sudden at 80,000 is like maybe 60, right? Maybe 60. And I'm like, dude, we can find you something. We probably can't, you're probably not getting an $80,000 base, but if you're willing to be flexible, maybe a $65,000, $70,000 base with all of these other things that you don't have to, pay for out of your pocket per se, or pay for as much. So that's what we run across a lot. But John, I will tell you this: I think every client that you and I work with, to my knowledge, has health insurance. And I know, 21st century, right? But there are a lot of companies out there that just, for whatever reason, and I'm talking, there's some good sized companies that just don't have it. They're just not investing in their employees like that.
Well, and here's the thing. Here's the thing, Shaun, is that health insurance, mileage, certain car allowances, certain equipment allowances, etc., are creative ways in which you can attract employees, but also for the employee, it's a benefit. So let me give you one example. We have an employee making $100,000.
Yep.
But they're buying their own health insurance, and they're also contributing to their own 401k. If that is the case, and it's really not called a 401k, they're contributing to their IRA. Let's just say they don't have a 401k at the office. So that $100,000 is taxed as $100,000.
Yep.
Okay. And at probably the 28% tax rate, that $100,000 becomes closer to $72,000, and that's not even counting the expenses of the health insurance and putting money aside for retirement. Let's go to the other scenario. Let's say someone makes $80,000 and has a 401k with a 3% match, and the health insurance is paid out by the company as a group health insurance policy.
Yep.
Well, that's a tax. That money now it looks like that guy makes $70,000, but he takes home $80,000, of course, less taxes. Looks like he makes $70,000 and only gets taxed by the IRS on $70,000.
Yep.
So it's a benefit. It's a benefit to the employee. Now, Some people, they like that, status of making $100,000. They like to feel good about that, and it makes sense to them. And I'm not gonna be embittered towards those people. That's fine. I get it, but you got to think a little bit, because either Uncle Sam gets it, or the health insurance company gets it, or somebody else gets it, and it's not you that's actually making that $100,000, because Uncle Sam's going to take a lot away from you.
Yeah.
So, but that's what we're trying to encourage with these employers. Make a compensation package that makes sense, and anybody will tell you that we're not socialists here. Okay, we're not socialists. People don't go to work and punch a clock at 8 o'clock and punch out at 5 o'clock. We're not socialists here. We have choices about where we can go to work, and we can attract people. Not, for me, if my company told me everybody's going to make the same bonus every year, then why even have bonuses, right? Because it's my personality, I want to be able to make as much money as I can individually. So that carrot right there that Shaun was talking about, as far as a commission goes, I'm going to be more like, if you pay me the same as everybody else, I'm going to work as hard as everybody else. I'm just going to put in my time. But if I have the opportunity to make better myself and better my family, I'm going to work my behind off, so that I can do that, and it benefits the company and it benefits me. So you got to be
Yep.
creative about, incentivizing your people, your good people.
Right. Yeah, and I think if you're a professional in the industry listening in right now, or wherever you're at, I mean, I think it's also something to consider is, you know, am I being underpaid? How do you know that you're being paid fairly for the work that you do? Um, I think that's a question I get a lot from people. Is, when I'm talking to potential recruits, they just say, "Hey, like, Shaun, can you kind of give me a price range of what someone like myself should be making?" And I never give them a price range until I know what they're making, because I don't want to upset the apple cart. Um, but I think it's a question you have to ask yourself. You have to ask yourself this: is what value am I bringing to my company that I'm working for? What am I doing? Are the projects I'm doing, are they profitable? If they're profitable, how much profit? Like, actually, like, sit down and you know see how much value you're bringing, and then from there, see if you're getting paid fairly. um
Well, there's many internet opportunities to do a search. There's salaries.com. Sometimes these recruiting
I'm not even
websites,
sure how
sometimes they
accurate those are,
advertise they,
especially
they
for
advertise an
especially
average
for
salary.
for the
What's that?
trades.
Say again.
I said I'm not even sure how accurate those websites are for the
That's
trades.
that's the point I was getting to, Shaun.
Yeah.
Those See, the thing is that those deal only on what people report. It's what they report, and what the average salaries are of the different if it's on a job website, it's the average salaries that are being put out there. Those are just carrots. And I
Yep.
get in debates all the time with these other people saying, "Oh, post the salary on the website." Well, here's the thing, and I'll tell anybody this: if you're bringing value to that company, and you have such a skill set and such a personality that they can't live without you, that salary range goes right out the window. Okay, so what we do, and the advantage of talking to a recruiter, is that we market your background to these companies, and we don't lie about your background. We don't exaggerate your background. But what we do is we market your background to the companies, and we also prepare you as a candidate to be able to go into these companies and have a conversation and present yourself and market yourself well to these companies, so that your value increases. Because we always advertise to our companies, this is what we advertise, is that you have a proven track record. Well, if you bring a proven track record to a company, they're going and they have an urgent need, whatever that urgent need is, they're going to want to hire you, whatever the cost is. Here's the other thing that you have to consider, though, as a new candidate coming in: you don't want to be at the top of the food chain when you walk in the door. Talk about that, Shaun.
Yeah, man. I mean, you and I have had multiple conversations with candidates who want to be at the top of the food chain. So what does that mean? That means that they want to come out of the gates on day one, starting at the top of the top. They want to make the most money on day one, and I get that. If I was looking for a job, I'm gonna have that same damn mindset. Let's just be honest, right? Um, However, I think this is where you and I come into play when we're dealing with professionals, is that we kind of help them get grounded into reality. We help them focus on the future and the potential of whatever the opportunity is. So one of the dangers of starting at the top of the food chain is, well, first off, there's not a lot of room to work up from there. Okay, there's if any. So yeah, there's not a lot of room to work up. And here's the other truth. If you're the person coming in at the door making the most money, and then the Omega variant hits, and Biden closes down the whole damn economy, who's gonna go? Who's gonna go? Who's gonna get laid off?
The guy with the guy making the most money
The
with the
guy
least
making the
amount of
most
tenure.
money with the least tenure in the company. Okay, this is not rocket science. Okay, um, so we've listed two main things with that, but I also want to, and the other conversation that we have with these recruits, and I guess I got to be a little careful, John, so we're not giving away any trade secrets, is that, you know, you want to go in there and prove yourself, go prove yourself. We're not asking you to take a pay cut from where you're at. Like, that's really never the case if you're employed and you're doing good. If you're not employed, yeah, you might have to take a pay cut. Okay. But if you're employed,
Yeah,
you're
well,
doing good.
it's hard to take a pay cut from zero.
Yeah, exactly. So, if you're employed, you're doing well. Our goal is yeah, let's get you a bump up in pay. And you can do some there's a national average on that, but let's get you a bump up in pay. But we help you stay grounded in what that looks like and what those expectations are from our client. And our message is hey, go in there, prove yourself, and over time, this company will reward you. They're not going to want to bring you on, pay us a big fee, and then let you go. That's not their goal. Their goal is to keep you on long term. So, yeah, I think I covered all the bases with that. But John, most of the people that we place, and I think you can attest to this, have very realistic salary expectations. And there are times where we have to bring them down to reality, and we take care of that, a lot of that on the front end.
I just say this, Shaun. The times that I know that people have gone backwards in salary, legitimately backwards in salary, to go
Yeah.
from one job to another, it just doesn't happen. Okay, that's one thing I know. So from the candidate end, they're not going to do that. So when we consult with companies, we always let them know, this client, this person is wanting to better himself or herself. They're not wanting, they might make a lateral move because your culture's better. They might make a lateral move because your health insurance is better, or something along those lines, or you have a better reputation and they just can't stand the culture at their place. But they're not going to make a backward move. If they're making a backward move, that might be a little bit of an indicator of desperation. They're not going to do it. I mean, for the most part,
Of
so
desperation, or they're lying to us about their salary,
or
which
they're
just
unemployed, or they might make a backwards move if they're unemployed, or they may make a backwards move if they're if they're going from an APM at a large company for an
yep.
opportunity to become a project manager at a smaller company, to get that underneath their belts, to get that kind of training
Those are
and
the
that kind of
candidates I love.
experience.
Those are the
What's
ones I
that?
love.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And so I
Absolutely.
want to circle back around, John, and I just want to say this one more time, is that, if you feel like you're not being compensated fairly, maybe your health benefits suck, maybe there's no 401k match or profit sharing, maybe there's no bonus, maybe that your base salary sucks, maybe, whatever that looks like. It like if you're and maybe you're just curious to see if you are being paid fairly. John and I, we can't give all the answers to that, but we would love to chat with you, and love to kind of understand why you feel that way, and see if there's anything we can do to help out. I mean, let's just be honest, John. I mean, a lot of the candidates we place, like, dude, you and Paul just placed that guy. He was making $80,000 on a base. Okay, great. He's
Yep.
making good money. Same company, 10 years. making 80,000 on a base. How much did you guys just place him at? How much
100,000.
is he making on a base? 100,000, dude. 100 grand. He went from 80 to 100 grand. Okay. And here's the thing. He there was other reasons why he was leaving his company, but we just had a conversation with him, kind of get an understanding of what some of his pain points were, found him an opportunity. It was closer to his house and paid him 20 grand more.
Hey man, I'm getting an urgent phone call, so finish up quick.
That's all, man.
All right. Well, hey, we were blessed to have you here. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Yep.